In the introduction, we will find information about Colombia, which is the main topic of the web quest you will work on. Also, you can find pictures to contextualize you about the region that it's going to be worked. Nevertheless, we can find information like Barranquilla was declared by UNESCO as a Heritage Carnival in Colombia, and the weather in Colombia and many places, generalization about some details of the country, and also a brainstorming about what are you going to do in the web quest, and what are you going to find and what are you going to learn on it. Otherwise, in the introduction you can find interesting information about gastronomy and a chapter where you can construct or build your identity of some part of Colombia, where you will find questions about what does it mean to be Rolo, Paisa, or any other kind of people in here, depending on the region. One of the tasks it's meant to be about slangs, because we think that slang is part of the identity of a country and of the identity of the social construct that people are making through the history. Nevertheless, we can find how in one of the resources how a comedian can find funny the fact of one of the most simple words you can find here, for example, that is parcero. You will find in this resource how does he explain the fact of the word through history and how has it changed through the main adaptations that the word has had during the history. Also, you can find one of the questions that is, why do you think it's important to preserve these kinds of words? Because one of the things is that those words are who these people are and how have they set up in the world.
For this task, we had a really specific objective that is very interesting. We're gonna work with the dances, and we start with question like, why for us are important the dances? Why we decide to go for these branches of our culture? We decide because we believe that we need to recognize it, and also the people need to know all the history about it. Because I know what is cumbia. It's a dance. It's a dance. Many years ago, I danced this in my school, but I didn't know where it comes from. If you don't know all those things that make Colombian unique, how you can say that you are Colombian? If you don't know about the gastronomy, if you don't know about the dance, if you don't know about our music, because our music is so special. So the objective of this task is that people can recognize it and also can create a new one if they can do it. For example, if they know the story about the porro, about the cumbia and other dances that are so popular here in Colombia, they can use all this story to create a new one, to create a new rinse, to create many things that also can improve or can get better in our culture. We don't know if one of these invents or things that we build could sound so attractive for the other people and could be famous. So the thing with that task is that more than recognize is to get more properly with our culture. Okay, the background on our web quiz. We decided that English learners need something at the moment to create sentences. At the moment that we start talking and we have a little bit of knowledge of English, we start to think, what is a compound sentences? What is a simple sentences? Okay, as my experience, I never thinking that. So for me, it's so interesting to talk about and use that things to develop our web quest. Because, for example, at the moment that we create a test, we need it. We really need it. We need to know how many sentences we're gonna put in the test, at what moment we're gonna divide it, how we're gonna continue with the same idea. So that things I believe that we will get improved at the moment that they develop the task. The really important thing is that our visitors don't gonna know that they were working in simple and compound sentences, and the final task they're gonna know by the results that they have improved in that team. So that is the background of our webquest.
I'm gonna talk about one of the activities that we already include in our webquest, which is called the origins of our unique accent and manners of speaking. The Spanish of Antioquia, or Spanish Paisa, is a dialect of Spanish unique in its gender for its appearance. Normally this dialect is spoken throughout Antioquia, including regions like Risaralda, Medellin, Caldas, Quindío. One of the concepts that identify our accent as a paisa is el voceo. But what does it mean voceo? Normally, this is used in the second person verb conjugations in the familiar form, instead of the more standard Spanish familiar pronoun, which is in Spanish too. But what does it important to know it? A good example to answer this is, for example, when you go to Bogota or Cartagena or some different place from Medellin, and immediately people identify you as a paisa because of your accent. So at the same time, the accent is giving them an ideology of you, for example, of the traditional culture, of the clothes, of the characteristics that people from our area has, and things like that. That's why this is important, because our accent is a part of our identity, is an essential part of our identity as a social group.
This task, you have to write a paragraph when you tell the qualities of you saw in these people. But in these pictures, have a hidden number for discovering the hidden city. In this task, the final objective is that our visitors learn about the simple, compound, sentence, and adjectives. You can find different pictures about the characteristics of people from this region. It's important that you recognize and analyze what makes so different than the other people from other regions.